Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. Today, I got to say, this is going to be a special episode for me because my guest today, I first saw this guy, and I have to say it had to have been 3 or 4 years ago at an event in Las Vegas around internet marketing, around online marketing, and I didn't know who he was at the time or what he did, but he went on to deliver one of the most memorable presentations that I had ever seen up until that point and have seen since, because the event was around online marketing, internet marketing, making money online, which is very, near and dear and of high interest to a lot of people. But it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't the, anyone can do it, make money in your underwear, fast cash kind of thing. It was really filled with raw emotion and stories of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he was very in the moment, and you knew you were getting a real picture, a true glimpse of what it was like to be an online marketer. My guest today, Brian G. Johnson. He is a serial entrepreneur who is one of the most engaging speakers that I've seen. He's a product developer and, to his own credit, a poodle wrangler, an all-around good guy, but he's also the author of, right now, the #1 best-selling book, Trust Funnel, which is, as we speak, just owning several categories on Amazon that I've seen. So, Brian G. Johnson, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Jack, it is an absolute pleasure. Excited just to share some ideas and touch base. I remember we met like 4 years ago, Practical Profits. And I was a little explosive on stage. I'm a passionate guy, indeed.
Well, yeah, but it was fantastic. And the reason I bring that up, because it kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today. And a lot of kind of some of the principles that you have in Trust Funnel, which, by the way, is a phenomenal book, and congratulations on the success that it's enjoying right now. And it certainly has been a buildup, and it's been fascinating to watch the buildup. So I definitely want to talk about that. So if you don't mind, I want to jump right in for people so they know exactly where we're coming from as we go on with the discussion. What is a trust funnel?
Great question. So one of the things I've learned over the last 10 years is that success in sales, success in business, one of the core fundamentals is the relationship that you establish with another human being, people, working with people, connecting with people. If you're trying to make money, you get money from other people. And it's really easy to forget that in the push button, so many hundreds of thousands of tweets, Facebook updates, YouTube videos being published, emails coming into your email box. And oftentimes, I think it's easy, again, to lose track of what's really important is to build trust in relationships with people in today's technical, kind of technology-driven internet marketing world. And I see so many people getting that focus rather on which buttons to push, which is the best software. And I like to simplify it, dumb it down, and focus on the relationships, on building trust. And that's what Trust Funnel is all about. It's about bringing old school know, like, and trust into a fast-paced internet marketing landscape where oftentimes we can get lured by that which is shiny, and we can lose focus of what really matters in generating life-changing results online.
Well, and what you're talking about there is common problems. And well, I guess really what I see is where this has come up is, there was a time that, and in the not too recent history, that marketing on the web was focused on exactly like you said, the technical tactics, the SEO, the page ranking, backlinks. So, the academic stuff, and those who knew how to do it or knew how to get it done, they won based on those merits. But now, it seems the playing field has leveled because that techie stuff has become almost a commodity where more and more people either know how to do it or know how to get it done. And it's caused a fairly swift and dramatic shift in what it takes to win. And to me, you've just kind of unfolded all of this in Trust Funnel, because it's shifted from, like you said, what buttons to push to make the green lights green, to personality and trust, which isn't so much academic. It's almost moved from a science to an art. And that's one of the things that you do so well, is that your formulas, your techniques, they're simple, they're easy to follow, which is very difficult oftentimes in teaching an art over a science. And so when you're doing that, what is it that you see is the biggest obstacle that people are facing right now because of this? And I want to bring up one of the phrases that you use in the book, the 7-minute syndrome. I have a feeling that's a big part of it. You want to talk about that and kind of the obstacles people are facing?
I got to tell you, Jack, you hit the ball out of the park, and you really get where I'm trying to go with this. And that is, we'll get to the 7-minute syndrome, but, awesome. I'm glad that people are kind of, seeing the bigger vision. And I'll say that, my book does have a lot of step-by-step technical details. But if you don't get that first part right, if you don't, create those connections and whatnot, it's just like you're spinning your wheels. It's like you've got a Lamborghini and you're in second gear. You can never get out of second gear. Who cares? So thanks for that. It was great to hear that. And as far as, really big obstacles, I think it comes down to a number of things. The first thing that popped into my mind was fear, and fear can dominate in so many different ways. And just like, I don't have anything to share. I'm not good enough to do that. Nobody's interested enough. I'm overweight. I'm underweight. My voice is terrible. I act like a crazy man on stage, which, that's me. And I think that fear, unfortunately, stops a lot of great people that have amazing messages to share or a chance to live a great life. It stops them, and it kind of puts them in a place of thinking small. And then that kind of leads into the 7-minute syndrome. Rick Butts, he came up with that, bless his soul. I went to a boot camp over a weekend, and the focus was on day one, book, and coming up with really great hooks. And then on day 2, we talked about speaking and whatnot. And as we were fleshing out ideas for our books, Rick came up and he said the 7-minute syndrome. And we kind of talked about like this day-to-day existence that so many people have, where they're not really focused. They don't have a definite thing they're trying to move forward with. And what's kind of sad and bums me out is that if you don't know what you want to do, if you don't have a plan, if you're unsure of how to move forward, then of course everything looks so amazing. All these new offers and emails, and I buy products all the time, but I'm on a mission and I know exactly what I'm trying to achieve. And all of a sudden, if you don't, you wake up and, it's, I think I'll post a kitten to Facebook, and then I'll do this, and then you get an email from Frank Kern, and it's another 7 minutes, but, Frank is incredibly entertaining, and it turns out to be 21, and then you're questioning whether you should sign up to a program. And again, I think it's awesome to buy products. I think it's wonderful to get mentored, to learn, to expand your mind. But if you don't know where the heck you're trying to go, well, then it's just like it becomes messy, and people spin their wheels. They never get anything done. And it's like this perpetual cycle of just little 7-minute increments with no clear path and no clear direction. That's what the 7-minute syndrome is really all about.
I think it's something that just about anyone listening probably recognizes themselves suffering from at one point or another, some, almost on a daily basis, because you brought up something that was really important, is that there's a lot of people that learn all the mechanics of the marketing, but never have success with it because they do all that almost to the detriment or the neglect of that trust piece that you talk about. And I think in the book Trust Funnel, chapter 3 to me could be a book in its own, where you start in on the success ingredients in your personal brand, but the topics that you talk about in there this is almost a concise list of those things that almost everyone misses or pushes to the back of the line of what needs to get done. But it really does seem like it's something that it should be on the front of the list. And one of the things that you should probably perfect more than learning your WordPress or any of that stuff. Kind of talk about some of those success ingredients that you go over there in chapter 3 when you're talking about your personal brand, because I think those are something that if anyone to me was going to ask, where do I start? Well, forget starting learning this technical stuff. I would point them right to chapter 3 of Trust Funnel as a place that the things that you have to get down.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things, as far as how my book evolved and whatnot, I got with Joe Comm, and we sat down for an afternoon, and he it kind of inspired me to come up with a bigger idea. Trust Funnel was originally going to be really like algorithms, where SEO is heading. It was going to be an ebook. And he said, this is great, and you've got great ideas. Go all the way, go physical book. And he said, how many words do you have? And I said, 10,000, 12,000. He said, well, you need 60. And I'm, okay, that's a lot. But I said, okay, that's what's going to happen. And I went back home that evening, and the next day I started writing out the format of the book. And at the beginning of the book is what you're talking about, Jack, and that is philosophies. These are the mindset philosophies that I use to ensure that I get the results that I want to have, because there's a few things that have really become apparent in the last 2 years for me. Number one is that, dream big and really focus on achieving outstanding results, and then step into that and take action and implement, and don't just think about it and say that's nice, but really do the work and move forward. And the second is to have kind of philosophies in which you live your life so you can ultimately become the very best you possible. I mean, as humans, we all want to contribute. As humans, we all want to add value and do good things. We want to publish great things or be a part of projects. We want to belong. These are the things that we want to be able to do in our lives. But if we don't have structure, if we don't ever actually take the action, if we don't have the discipline, it's so hard to get the results. And that's why at the beginning of the book, I have these philosophies. So case in point, I have my productivity ritual. It's really simple. And simple is another philosophy. I think people overcomplicate a lot of this stuff. And let's call a spade a spade. I mean, if we look at internet marketing, it is complicated, but that doesn't mean you need to get bogged down in the myriad of technical details to get where you want to go. Albert Einstein, everything should be as simple as possible, but no simpler. That means, make it easy on yourself, and that's what I try to do. I mentioned the productivity ritual. So first, I have a big goal. I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to publish a New York Times best-selling book. And then I go to work. And every day at 9 a.m., I get started on what needs to be done that day to allow me to achieve the goal I want. The current goal is a New York Times bestseller. And right now, we're number 1 in 3 categories on Amazon. We're kicking serious butt, and we're passing up some pretty notable author names, and I'm proud of that. And that would have never been if I didn't have the gumption to set up a productivity ritual where every day it's simple. I don't need to go to base camp and create these flow charts of what to do. I'm going to write a book. Just start writing. And then when you're done with that, it's like, I should probably think about how I'm going to market this book. And every day I spend 3 hours with the most important thing. Now, once I'm done with that, it's about noon, 1 o'clock. I can take the day off. I can relax. I can watch a movie, or I can do other projects. I can continue to focus on what's most important. But by really starting the day off with the one thing that really has allowed me to produce and publish, because nothing happens until you reach the finish line. I'll add one more philosophy that has really strengthened me and brought me to a whole nother level in my life. And I'm not just talking business. I'm talking about personal fulfillment. I'm talking about being happy with who you are. I'm talking about becoming the very best you that you can be, to have that immediate happiness, to capture the financial rewards that you want in your life. And that is, negativity shall not pass. Naysayers, people that say you can or you shouldn't. And it's funny because as I came into the industry, I'd already been doing internet marketing for many, many years. I was already successful. However, I started teaching people and my business kind of shifted. I had peers. We're peers, Jack. We're working together right now. And when I was faced with negativity, it's important just to shield yourself from that. And because, we're fragile as humans, we all have this track that's playing in our mind, and to be able to quiet that and get to a place where you have lots to add to the world and whatnot, and to live up to your potential. So, I started really looking at the things in my life, not just people, but the things. And I said, is this really serving you? And all these different changes began to happen. I stopped drinking. Now, I always loved to drink, and I was a good partier. It doesn't mean I didn't show up to my commitments. I got my work done. I had great results, but I felt I could be better without drinking. So I quit. I just, that was it. And people that push the line from constructive criticism to like damaging negative energy, like I don't hang out with those people anymore, because it's like I don't want to be around that. I want to be around positive, impactful people that are on a mission to better themselves. So those are some of my philosophies that have really led to, a wonderful place of productivity, happiness, personal fulfillment, and more.
Well, I can tell you that's one of the reasons that I consider you an influencer, because as brilliant as you are in your strategies and your techniques, what you just talked about is something that, you probably realize this, but it just shines over the things that you put out on social media. And it's almost, you're not just, not being negative. It's almost you're repelling negativity. It's tough to even think about negative. And you're right. There are a lot of people, and not just internet marketing, but just about any industry, that's their default stance is the negativity. Internet marketing can be the same, because there's the point of constructive criticism. Then there's the point of the people that, what I used to say, the credo of some of the really low life, underbelly of internet marketing was either the corruption must end or I must be allowed to participate. Right. And it's almost like sometimes you see that in a form of competition, where people view that there's competition in their marketplace, and in reality, it's more of there's opportunities for collaboration over competition. And you're one of the people that I see demonstrate that very, very strongly. And even part of this book launch that you've done, the grassroots, backing and the surge and the people that are following you, the people that are just incredibly behind you on this book launch, I think demonstrates the results of this attitude that you have. And to me, it's incredibly inspiring. And what you just said spells it out just perfectly. And I'm glad you talked about that because, you are definitely one that walks the walk when it comes to that. So I wanted to definitely point that out, that I feel that that's what truly makes you the influencer, to influence the positive, the positive actions and the positive attitudes that just completely spills out with anything that, I see that you're doing online and social media, which, I'd like you to kind of talk about that as well. Because one, in the book, and you've already mentioned on this, during this interview, multiple names of people that helped you and inspired you. And there's a lot of people that like to keep that kind of close to them that you don't want to talk about. But you mentioned a lot of names throughout your book of people that have inspired you or been behind some of your thoughts or some of your strategies. And where a lot of people are afraid to give, credit when that happens. And you've clearly, have you seen that as being more valuable to you than ever trying to hide the fact that you actually may have learned or been inspired by someone else?
Well, I think the best way for me to answer that question, Jack, is to ask you a question and then examine kind of where I'm going to head here. So why is it that you think that a lot of people don't want to name other people or draw attention to other people in our industry?
Well, I would suspect that it's a fear of that it's taking the light off of them. That maybe it's the fear of, well, the spotlight's on me. If I do that, it's going to take some of the spotlight off of me, or people are going to think I'm less clever or less smart about something if I give credit to someone else of where I came up with this.
Yeah, and I'm glad I wanted to take it from this angle, because it's always good to hear other people's viewpoints, because this is something I think about often. A couple things. Number one, where can people get another version of Brian G. Johnson?
Exactly.
So I'm very confident in what I deliver to the market. And I actually kind of wanted to talk about this, or it popped into my mind, Jack, as far as some of the things you were saying. When I got started, I wrote reports about SEO. When I got started, I published videos and training about WordPress. And I think when we get started, we focus on these details, and that's what people want, right? But there are a lot of choices that people have. And when you can bring to the market a level of education, and you can bring to the market that which people seek out. So if you can teach people about the SEO, if you can guide and support and teach people about the WordPress, then you're taking care of their first want and need, which gets your foot in the door. But if you can entertain those folks, if you can inspire them, if you can bring something to the market that nobody else can, then you're kind of on a whole nother playing field. You're not playing the same game as most people. If I asked you to name, how many WordPress SEO plugins are there, you could probably rattle off 10 or 12. If I asked an SEO guy, who knows? He could be busy all day. And so many of these sales pages and the marketing behind them, it's all the same. But by really developing a strong personal brand and by really dialing in what your message is. So this is something that took me a long time. But I'm not just, your guy that's going to teach you how to get results in internet marketing. I tell people, like, that's my first goal is to arm people with the marketing skills needed to get tremendous results. But on a deeper level, I'm here to let people know that anybody, regardless of age, race, creed, religion, experience, or lack thereof, can have an amazing life, can do things they thought maybe never possible. And so I'm not afraid to mention other names. I'm not afraid to give credit. Because number one, I think the people that really align with me and whatnot, the only place they can get what I offer is me. I'm very well branded and whatnot. And the other side of that coin is that sometimes people mention me. Some people talk about my marketing. Some people give me credit. Some people link out to my website. Some people are not afraid to mention my name in videos. And it comes back. One of my memes, and they're not memes or memes or who knows whatnot, but they're really like how I live my life. And this particular one is life is an echo. So it's like if you put out a lot of good things to the universe, I believe you're going to get that back, you know. And I might be slightly wooey, but at the same time, I'm trying to be a positive person that's bringing a great, exciting, fun, and entertaining message to the world. And I believe what you put out will come back to you. Life is an echo.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, it's more than just a meme, mimmy, whatever. I should learn the lingo, right?
We're probably past that age or something.
Yeah. But I think it really is, it's more than that with what you do, because I think what you're doing, whether you have realized it or enough people have told you or not, it's doing exactly what you're saying. I mean, it really does push that out, and you've affected a lot of people with that. And for those that may not know what I'm talking about, I really want to get into that, because you've, part of your branding and part of why so many people, I want to say probably so many more people know who Brian G. Johnson is today than they may have 12 months ago, was because of this campaign that you've been doing, and a lot of it leading up to right now. That's why I'm very excited and proud to have you on the show today, right when your book is launching and coming out, because it's kind of the culmination of what you've been doing over the last, how long? Was it, is it 12 months? How long has this been coming on?
It was a really long campaign, and it's interesting, Jack, because the whole timing issue was kind of weird and kind of like, why so long? That was my thinking for a long time. And then when I got about 2 months out, like literally, so we're talking, December, I'm like, it was perfect. It was exactly how it was supposed to be. So you kind of talked about a few things like, what you've been doing in the last 12 months and like the social campaign and whatnot. So one of the things, again, is I think we overcomplicate this. Or this is just what I see, and I try to keep it simple, because if I don't, I'll go crazy, and people would say, like, people that really dig me would say, you're teetering and you might already be there. But, internet marketing is just, there's a lot of buttons to push. There's a lot of things to do, but I basically, I started off and I was asked to speak at Marketing Mayhem, and I thought about how I was optimizing my website to build leads. And my goal was to take cold traffic, people that didn't know who Brian G. Johnson was, and to build trust and speed to trust as quickly as possible to build my list, to have a connection with those people, to be able to add value to their lives, and at the same time, win financially and, make money and whatnot. So I was doing certain things to my website. I was using images. I was doing things on a technical end, and at the same time, I was focused on this old school stuff. And I was asked to speak at Marketing Mayhem, so I went ahead and I did a 20-minute kind of lightning round, and I talked about what I did, and it was very well received. And then I thought I'm going to do an ebook, because people seem to dig this kind of a thought of old school meets new school. And then I just kind of continued, and I was kind of like on this personal journey, and I was really trying to like arrive at the next Brian G. Johnson, at a better version of who I was, a year earlier, I should say. And I went to Denver, and I went to a marketing event, and I got with a lot of people, and Joel Kahn was there, and that's how we started working together. Now, we'd already worked with each other, and we'd already supported each other at whatnot, and that was fine and great, but it was kind of like a new level, and we hung out for an afternoon, and Joel said, write a bigger book. And from that period, again, I just tried to keep things pretty simple, and I always look at, if a lot of people that have an awful lot of success are all doing kind of the same thing, you should probably do that too, Brian. Now, I do it in my own way, and nobody has pictures like I do on the internet. And that's on purpose because, I don't want to be a copycat. It's just not any fun. It's not even about like it's rude. It's just like, I want to live an epic life, and you don't live an epic life by, doing the same thing as everybody else. But they did have those professional pictures. So that's one of the things I did is I had professional pictures taken, and I started like sharing my deeper message. And that is like, you can live an amazing life. You can have positivity. You can reach new heights. You can achieve great success. And at the same time, technical stuff like, hey, here's how to become an Amazon bestseller. These are the 6 steps that you can use to ramp up a campaign and whatnot. So I started, just really focusing on basic things on Facebook, and it really, really kicked off. And again, where it started is kind of Dale Carnegie, win friends and influence people kind of mindset. And that is, you can make more friends in 2 weeks or 2 months rather with being interested in them and taking interest in what they're doing than you can in 2 years of trying to get people interested in what you're doing. And I think it's so ironic to me. I see a lot of people, they want likes, they want engagement, they want to have a party happening on their timeline, but they post and they don't comment that much, and they don't engage with other people, and that's what everybody wants. So like the one thing that they want, they don't do. It's like, if you want the success on social media, it boils down to 2 or 3 things, and that is, number one, people want to be around people that have done great stuff, cool things, and whatnot. So right now, publishing a book that's number 1 in web marketing, number 1 in e-commerce, and number 1 in leadership is awesome, and people are excited about that. But at the same time, people have a human desire to engage and to be heard. People have a desire to have a voice. So when you engage with other people, whether it's your thread or not or whatever, they're going to be more likely to comment with you. And that's what I did. So I just started sharing pictures, engaging with people, sharing my message, technical, funny, goofy, all different types of things. And then over time, it started to build. And then I introduced the book, and I started sending books out through the mail. You got one, Jack. And it was incredibly successful. Let's just call a spade a spade. I almost didn't say that, but hey, I frickin' won.
Well, you did, and it was unique, and it was something that, I haven't seen before, and, obviously sending out books, but the campaign that you ran, putting together the images and the sayings, I mean, this really was grassroots, and the ability to, not just get the message out yourself, but it inspired and encouraged others to want to share those messages that you were putting out. And that's what, I guess the whole nature of the very definition of viral is. And that's why it's just fascinating to watch the progression of this and to see how, Brian G. Johnson just, amplified almost exponentially the people that follow you, the people that know you, the people that now want to be like you. So I think it's just a tremendous example by doing that you've done, and to have it land and let people see that right when the book is launching, the Trust Funnel. It's almost like watching a Quentin Tarantino movie where you get to start watching it backwards as you go through it and watch as it happen.
Yeah. It's funny. I thought about the same thing, and it's so interesting. And it is what it is. But I was the same exact guy 6 months ago. I was sharing the same exact stuff as I am today. And, now there's a little bit more viral buzz because people want to be a part of something bigger and whatnot. They want to get close to people that have just achieved things in their life. But until you publish, until you reach the finish line, it doesn't matter. You have to do that. Again, I was the same guy. I had a lot of engagement 6 months ago, but clearly it is built. I mean, when I started, and this is a great way to measure, people talk about clout, and it's kind of black or white as far as what I see. People think clout's great, or they're like, I don't like it. And the reason they don't like it often is because it's a measurement, and it basically measures your level of engagement and how much impact you have across the social sites like Twitter and Facebook. And when I got started, my score was 65. And I don't know if it's 77 today, but I hit 77 about a week ago, and that's a pretty high score. Not a lot of people have a score like that. And again, it's engaging with people is really a big part of it. And the other thing I want to say is it's kind of weird, and it was hard to do. A lot of people are surprised when I say, it takes courage to do some of the stuff I do, because I'm not afraid to act really goofy, and I'm not afraid to be authentic and be who I am. It takes courage to do that, just like people are afraid to put themselves on video. But when you really think about it, what people are looking for in their life is a break from the norm. People are bored to death. And this is, I credit that thing right there, Perry Belcher. I was in a traffic and conversions event, and he had by far, in my opinion, for where I was at in my marketing, the best presentation that year. I think it was 2013. And he talked about his 21-step sales process.
Yeah,
and It's interesting. I'm kind of thinking about my book right now, and I've kind of done a good job of laying out that flow, because the very first thing that I mention about like a sales process is in the tagline, and it says grab attention. You see, you can't. It's just really hard to have impact, to drive traffic, to get noticed if you can't grab attention. Now, if you're just a clown and you can't educate people, or if if it's hollow and that's all it is, it's like you might have like 15 minutes of fame, but people aren't going to stick around. So I act kind of goofy. I go a little zany. I grab attention, and then what keeps them coming back is that higher message. What keeps them coming back is that I can share really great ways to drive sales, to build an opt-in list, to leverage Kindle, to build a platform and do all these things. And that wackiness is enticing. People want that. People like that. They're intrigued by it. And I think we all need to be brave to become the very best version of ourselves that we can. And it takes a lot of courage. It really does. I'm not going to downplay it. But when we can do that, we really step into our greatness. And another one of the memes that I share is that authenticity is sharing your quirks, imperfections, and greatness. And when you do all of that, it just really resonates with people, and they want to be a part of that. And that was really a big part of, the campaign. And not really the campaign. That's Brian G. Johnson. That's just who I am.
Yeah, well, I think who you are, and that's what I wanted to focus on today, because the things that you talk about in Trust Funnel, you do have a big section of the book that walks through the go here, click here, how to do this stuff. And that's what you're exceptional at is you're the teaching those simple and easy to follow formulas and techniques. But I wanted to make sure that people saw the relish that's put on these formulas. And that's what it is. It's the Brian G. Johnson relish that, you can learn how to do WordPress. You can learn how to do SEO, but doing it and learning it from someone that has, your passion and your attitude and your philosophies, I think is something that is going to strengthen anyone's knowledge, around any of this stuff when it comes to marketing. And, you really are an influencer in my book, because of the way that you've done that. And it may not have even been, it may just be your natural self doing that. And that's a wonderful thing. So, hopefully you realize, just really what a special, kind of aura you have around you when people are learning from you in this way. So let me ask you.
Now you're laying it on kind of heavy.
Well, hey, I'm just reading it as I see it here, as you wrote it. So no, but I will tell you. So how can people find out more about Brian G. Johnson if they don't see you already on a daily basis? Find out more about you and find out more about Trust Funnel and how to get involved and learn from that. Well,
obviously, you can go to Amazon. You can grab the book. Books, I don't know when this is coming out, Jack, but basically for the next week or so, we're launching, and there's all kinds of, a ridiculous amount of really great training and bonuses that are available. So buy the physical copy of the book now, and you get an over-the-top amount of bonuses. And people can do that by accessing trustfunnelbook.com, and they'll see all the great things I've got lined up. People can find me at marketingeasystreet.com. Because it doesn't have to be so complicated.
I know, and you made it easy right there just with that name. No whiz-bang, ziggle-mazoo, anything like that. Marketing Easy Street says what it means. I guess so. Brian G. Johnson, I want to thank you for being on Influencers Radio today and sharing this information. And, I would encourage anyone to check out what Brian's doing on Facebook and all the story. You pretty much got it down. I think a lot of your pictures come from Instagram as well. You've got it all hooked up. So they can find you on Facebook. The Trust Funnel, we'll get the link up there. It's trustfunnelthebook.com. Is that it?
It's trustfunnelbook.com.
Trustfunnelbook.com. And definitely check it out on Amazon. And get it. It really is a great read for anyone that's wanting to know where to get started, and not just on the techie side, but really around how to start your day and build your day with purpose around building a real business around this. So thank you so much for being here today, Brian.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was nice to connect.
All right, folks, there you have it. Influencers Radio. Until next time, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.